Palisade, Santa Fe, Tucson, Kona, Venue. Can we count the Venue? Either way, you're probably thinking Hyundai has enough SUVs. So what is this? Well, this is one more, and it's actually something kind of special. The 2026 Hyundai Ioniq 9 is the brand's first proper three-row all-electric SUV. And that means it has to compete with vehicles like the Tesla Model X, the Rivian R1S, and even Hyundai's corporate cousin, the Kia EV9. And yet, despite that competition, I think that this is the best, most cost-effective option for families looking to go all electric. Now that said, I have to take a step back and look at this and be honest. It doesn't quite work for me visually, and I'm just one person, but Hyundai talked about being inspired design-wise by smooth pebbles and mid-century modern sofas when designing the Ioniq 9, and yet I look at it and I think you just wanted to make the most aerodynamic shape possible that could fit 3 rows of seats. All of that pebble and sofa nonsense was thought up after the fact to justify these looks. Luckily, by the numbers, they've succeeded on the whole aerodynamics thing. The Ioniq 9 has a drag coefficient of just 0.27, which is seriously impressive for a vehicle this big. And the Ioniq 9 is big. It stretches 199.2 inches long, almost as long as a Honda Pilot. But its wheelbase is even longer. At 123.2 inches, it's actually longer than a Chevy Tahoe. These proportions are only made possible because the Ioniq 9 rides on Hyundai's all-electric platform, and it allows for absolutely massive interior and cargo space. More on that later. This one is the calligraphy trim. It's not actually the most expensive trim level. There's a calligraphy design trim, but it's still pretty pricey. This one's as tested price is $77,540. You can see it's finished in Hyundai's snow white paint color, and although I don't dislike these 21-inch wheels, I tested an Ioniq 9 calligraphy design earlier this year in Georgia and loved the wheels on that one. They had this jet turbine-inspired design that really works with the futuristic theme, whereas these ones look like they belong inside the bottom of a blender. The rear view is definitely the most distinctive angle. Just look at how these LED taillights wrap around nearly 3/4 of the back. Hyundai says they were inspired by a ship's stern, and I can actually kind of see it. The whole back end is dramatically stubby, which might not be to everyone's taste, but it certainly makes a statement. Right, let's take a look at all this cargo space. Behind the third row, you've got 21.9 cubic feet of cargo space, which isn't massive, but it expands to 46.7 cubic feet with the third row down and a whopping 86.9 cubic feet with both rear rows folded. That's more than you get from a Hyundai Palisade, and frankly, it's about as much as you can expect from any unibody crossover. There is also a small frunk up front, but don't expect to fit much more than your charging cables, maybe an extra little bag in there. Base models come with a second row bench, which allows for seating for 7, but this is the Ioniq 9 calligraphy trim, and we have these captain's chairs, which means seating for 6. Now, entry into the second row, or frankly the third row, is really easy because these rear doors are huge and they swing out nice and wide. I mean, this is almost as good as getting in and out of a minivan with sliding doors. The third row itself has 32 inches of legroom, which does feel a bit tight for me. I'm 5'11", but it's gonna be fine for kids. Now, unless you are actually the one doing the driving, the middle row, not the third row, is probably where you're gonna wanna be, because we can slide this back. Sorry to the guy in the third row. Sitting here, I get up to 42.8 inches of legroom, and that is positively luxurious, making it even better and really feeling very airy. This huge panoramic moonroof, I mean, it almost stretches the entire length of the roof. Now you add in this center console that slides forward and backward on really, really smooth rails. It's impressively smooth, but it also has a little latch so you can open it from the back as well as from the front. So if you have a kid and you've got their Diet Coke or whatever in there, kids don't really drink Diet Coke, they can get that nice and easy. Add in 3-zone climate control, window shades, and plenty of USB ports, and this is an awesome family crossover. Just like in the back, what I notice first up here is how open and airy the Ioniq 9 feels. Unlike with some SUVs, Hyundai hasn't cluttered the Ioniq 9 with this unnecessarily large center console. The interior offers multiple cubbies, the doors have this nice scalloped shape, and everything feels very modern and uncluttered. There is quite a bit of plastic in here, and although some of it looks pretty nice and some pieces are better than others, by and large, it's not the most high quality stuff. Similarly, this dashboard insert ahead of the passenger seat has a sort of interesting hammered aluminum look, but if I'm honest, it feels a bit like an applied decal rather than the real thing. The seats are soft and relatively comfortable, but not overly supportive, and they actually in particular lack thigh support, which is a bit of a shame. Unlike the Kia EV9, there is no small battery, standard range, short range version of the Hyundai Ioniq 9. Every one of these cars gets a 110.3 kilowatt hour battery pack, but the power output does depend a little bit on the trim. The base model gets a single rear mounted electric motor that makes 215 horsepower, but this calligraphy trim, this one has dual motors for all-wheel drive and 422 horsepower. It is pretty quick, particularly in sport mode. Now, it's not actually the performance, though, that impresses me most with the Ioniq 9. No, it's the efficiency. Because remember, this is a big vehicle. But I drove this thing, I put a lot of miles on it in Georgia, and we've done a fair bit of city driving now that we have one up in Boston. And despite all of the city driving, the highway drive, across all those miles, I'm regularly seeing on the driver information display a readout that's showing me 3 to 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour, which is really good. I mean, that puts this right at Hyundai's claim of 311 miles of all-electric range. Very impressive stuff in any EV, let alone a big 3-row EV. You can now use Tesla superchargers courtesy of the standard NACS port on the Ioniq 9. But if you're closer to a different charging station, or you want to use a high-speed 350 kilowatt station, you can plug into a traditional CCS port with an included adapter. Hyundai claims 10 to 80% charging in 40 minutes on a Tesla supercharger, or just 24 minutes on a 350 kilowatt CCS fast charger, if you can find one pumping at full speed. Now, EV batteries are heavy, and 110 kilowatt hours of EV batteries are really heavy. Now, the Ioniq 9 has this soft, supple suspension, and it's great for providing a really comfortable, pillowy ride, but it's not super up to the task of handling the weight transfer related to those big, heavy batteries, especially when you get onto the windier, curvier roads. You know, it's not gonna tackle that spirited driving, those back roads, quite as comfortably as a sporty SUV. It's gonna feel a little bit more like a minivan. And to be honest, you know, it's not the quickest, sportiest car when you're really cutting through. But if you're buying this because it's a family SUV, well, then that's probably not your priority anyway. So it's not sporty, but it is serene. Even at highway speeds, our Ioniq 9 calligraphy's active noise cancellation, sound-absorbing tires, and acoustic glass do a brilliant job of keeping wind and road noise out of the cabin. It's astonishingly quiet, almost eerily so, and its towing capacity is pretty decent too. We get 3,500 pounds of towing capacity with rear-wheel drive models, or 5,000 pounds with all-wheel drive models like this one. Now, admittedly, if you put 5,000 pounds of trailer on the back of any EV, the estimated driving range is going to suffer. In terms of safety, the Ioniq 9 comes loaded with driver assistance systems as standard. Highway Driving Assist 2 also provides supervised hands-free driving by combining lane keeping with adaptive cruise control. It's not as sophisticated as Ford's Blue Cruise or GM's Super Cruise, but unlike those two, it's also included free of charge with the purchase of the vehicle. There's no additional subscription to use Highway Driving Assist 2. The infotainment setup consists of dual curved 12.3-inch displays. It's the same system you're going to find in a higher spec Tucson or a Santa Fe, and the screens do look good and they work pretty well, but they also collect a lot of fingerprints, and if the sun hits them just right, they give off quite a bit of glare. The tech package is very comprehensive. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard, plus a wireless charging pad, although the charging pad isn't really worth its weight, at least not for me. I found that my Android phone couldn't quite keep up with charge while sitting on the charging pad and running wireless Android Auto, but our video producer, Elliot, he has an iPhone, didn't have that problem. Now maybe that means that Android Auto requires more energy than Apple CarPlay. I don't know. I'm not actually a phone reviewer, but given that they are in so many cars now, I'm sort of becoming a wireless charging pad reviewer. And this one is generally really well designed with one tiny little caveat. So I really like that it is a rubberized mat and it's lifted a little bit, so the phone does sit flat on it, even if you have one of those little camera bump outs. The downside is that it's not ventilated, and both of us discovered that our phones were getting really hot after sitting on this, even for only like 30-45 minutes. Now, if you're worried about running out of juice, you don't need to be, because Hyundai fits the Ioniq 9 with 6 standard USB-C ports that can output, get this, 100 watts of power each. Now the thing is, that can charge a laptop. The thing is, you do need a special cable to get that 100-watt max, and it's a very beefy guy. Hyundai left this one in the car for us. I believe that this comes with the vehicle, but even if it does, they only gave us one, so it's not like you get 6 of them. Might be nice to have a few more. This calligraphy trim also comes with a 14-speaker Bose audio system, and I have to say, it's really impressive. The soundstage is really crisp, and the tones are nice and balanced. It's clear enough that you can really pick out the highs and lows for the guitar, the bass, the drums, that guy on the keys, your favorite 4-piece band. I'm not usually over the moon about Bose car stereos, but this one really impressed me. So, how much does this cost? Well, prices start at just over $60,000 for the base trim, and they rise up to just over $78,000 for the calligraphy design. And that makes this the most expensive vehicle Hyundai has ever sold in North America. And yet, it's more affordable than a Model X and a Rivian R1S. In terms of price, the Ioniq 9's only real competition is the Kia EV9. And the top spec version of that, well, it's only a few $1,000s less than this. Now, I do think that the EV9 is a better looking SUV, but it's not any more spacious, and in terms of driving range, well, the cheapest EV9s can't come close to the Ioniq 9. The Ioniq 9 is not perfect. The looks are divisive, and the handling is pretty uninspiring. But for families who are looking to go electric, this offers impressive interior space, passenger space. It's very efficient, and it delivers great value. But let us know what you think. Can you get past the divisive looks and see this as a practical and affordable 3-row EV SUV? Let us know in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the CarGurus YouTube channel, where you can watch all sorts of videos of all sorts of vehicles. We'll see you next time.